I guess on my hair, she look all right. And with that actually sitting there like this creams, and I had to have them, sis. All 5 of them. Here, I just had, we're gonna discontinue it, but I had to pick up their book of shadows, honey. Color grade makes cheap fan, expensive breeze, good times. Wow, so serious. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Torrence here, and in today's video, I am bringing you a tag. If you all are not new to my channel, then you already know I am not the biggest fan of oranges or blues. Out of all of the colors in the eyeshadow world, those two could disappear and they would not hurt my feelings at all. But the Queen Lorraine Johnson Coleman has come up with another tag. If you all have checked out my previous video, usually every month I try to do a purple video for her. I'll leave that last purple video right here that I did. But this month she came up with something extra special where she challenged people to go ahead and try to use 2 colors they do not like. This tag is called the QueensColorTag, and I'm going to make sure I leave that in the description bar below. And I was tagged by a new online friend that I have here. Let me make sure I put her username right here. It's called Dreaming in Multichrome. I'm going to go a little more in depth later on about this video, but basically I wanted to find a way to get inspiration to use my Mikayla and Glamlite Part 1 palette. I got this palette on sale and I had never used it. Let me give you a peek on the inside. And I'm the type of person who truly loves greens. I don't mind accentuating them with purples. And so more than likely, if I would have ever used this palette, those are the 2 I would have went for. When I was challenged for this and someone said, go ahead, use your 2 least favorite. Use those oranges, use those blues. And I had to look at this palette and go, you know what, Torrence? You have multiple shades in this palette of orange and blue. You can create a full look and it'll give you a chance to say, I finally used this palette to the full capacity, because I know there's no doubt about it. I will be back for those greens. I never toss out a palette that has a green eyeshadow without testing it out first, because I never know if it's gonna be my favorite. But now I get to go in, test out my least favorite shades and support a friend with this as well as an influencer. So it's all, you know, everybody wins in this video. But do I like this palette? Do I think it's worth it? Do I think it's worth your money? And should you go grab it? You're gonna have to wait to the end to find that out. But before we get into this tutorial, I would love it if you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're also subscribed to the channel because I try to bring you 3 videos a week. But before we get into this tutorial, I have to make sure I bring you swatches. So let's go ahead and get into it. You guys, when I tell you Glamlite and Mikayla did their thing for the outer packaging for this, this is easily one of the prettiest packages I've ever seen. I want to tilt it back so you all can see what it looks like when the sparkles fall down. Like, isn't that pretty? And there's no liquid inside, so you don't have to worry about this ever breaking and causing damage to the shadows. But I am guessing if those crystals were to ever fall out, you might have a nice little mess on your hands. But this here, it's impossible to show you all without the glare from the ring light, but as you can see, the outer packaging is stunning. And on the inside, you can see we have 30 beautiful shadows. This palette also contains a very large mirror, but I didn't want to blind you all with that. It seems we have a mixture of neutrals and pops of colors. Seems your main neutrals are going to be warm tones. It appears a lot of them have some orange to it. With those pop of colors, it seems the stars are our purples, our greens, and our blues. And so I think this palette may suit anyone just color-wise, but it's about that formula, you know. So before we get into things, I gotta bring you a close-up view of those swatches. Okay, you guys, here we are with swatches, and I must admit I am really impressed. I decided to do 10 at a time because there are 30 shadows in this palette, and the 2 that shocked me the most is shade number 6, which is called Willow. I did not expect that purple undertone from that shade, as well as shade number 7, which is called Glow Up. I could tell it was a pink to gold duochrome, but I did not know the shift was going to be that strong there. These shadows are absolutely stunning, and if the neutrals are this beautiful, it has me truly excited to see what the colorful shades are going to look like. So let's go ahead and get into the next few. Here we have swatches of shades 11 through 20, and when I tell you, every single shadow looks beautiful. From the mattes to the metallic, they are all stunning. Normally, I am someone who generally prefers a jewel tone look. Pastels really don't do it for me, but for these to be so smooth, so pigmented, and so bright, all I'm thinking of is that childhood character Baby Bop from the TV show Barney. Because these colors are purple and green and they're so bright, it reminds me of her. Maybe if they were a bit darker, it would have reminded me of the main character, but I think these are so soft, so feminine, and so beautiful. And now we have shades 21 through 30. And no lie, because I am a colorful lover, the last 10, as far as colorful shades, contains the darkest shimmers and darkest mattes. So I truly thought that's where I'm going to be. Those are going to be my favorites. But after swatching them, I got to admit, that second set is doing it for me. But I just have to be honest. As far as the darkest purple, that second shade there is called Portuguese. She is beautiful, but she is extremely soft in the pan. So if you do press into it, you want to be very careful so that you do not push it out or hit pan immediately and push your cream product to the side, because it does appear to be more of a cream to powder than just a typical press powder. As far as the very last shade, Mass Hold, that matte blue, I'm hoping she performs better than she swatches, because for that to be the darkest blue in the palette, it was also the matte that gave me the least amount of pigmentation when I swatched it. But blues tend to do that, as well as things like matte yellows and purples. But I'm hoping they perform better on the eye. But enough talking, let's go ahead and get into the performance of these. Alright you guys, it's time to get into things. As with all tutorials, all tools and product shields will be in the description bar below. So if you ever want to know anything that I've used in my videos, always check out there first. But today, almost dropped her. We gotta pick up our Glamlite and Mikayla Part 1 palette, honey. When this first came out, it broke the internet, and I've had it for quite a while. And usually I just come in my room and do this and just play with it like this. I have never actually used the palette, and I'm guessing Part 1 was so successful that they did a Part 2, and I'm like, Torrence, before you post a video using Part 2 on Saturday, you gotta post Part 1. So here we are. I did have to bend this back a little bit because it does contain a very large mirror, but I don't want to blind you all. This is what it looks like. To me, I would say it's part warm neutral, part colorful. And because I have a challenge coming up, honey, I really don't want to use these colors, but I really want to challenge myself. Basically today, I want to try to use the two colors that I least use ever. When it comes to makeup, I already know those two shades, blue and orange, I usually try to avoid them. Oranges, I really don't care for at all. Blues, I don't mind if I'm doing a green look or maybe a purple look. I can use those as accent colors. But just to go in today with just those two, no black, no green, y'all pray for me, honey. But we're going to jump into it because we've been talking long enough. Baby, my brush is going to be destroyed because as you can see, they are clean white hair brushes and getting some blue eyeshadow on them. But I love y'all, so let's go ahead and get into it. Not sure exactly what we want to do, but we're going to go over the top, and we're going to start off with our largest, fluffiest blending brush, my Redford 27. And I'm like, Torrence, we might as well just jump straight into it since we don't want to wear oranges. The orangest shade I can see in this palette is this shade here, Buffalo Chicken. I'm going to take that shade right there, and we're going to buff that throughout our crease as a transition shade. Where my little mirror at? Got to have my Jessica Rabbit mirror, y'all. And let's go ahead and see what she looks like on the eye. I'm like, since we're going for orange, we might as well go for full pigmentation. Let me get her in there. And just because we can always come back from up, we're going to tap that off. And honestly, actually, let me pick up a little bit more. We're going to do this on the front half of the eye. So I'm going to take this and just buff that up and out for the front half, honey. Okay, pigmentation is cute. She's not quite as orange as I thought she was going to be. She's coming off much more peachy. But because this is the orangest shade in the palette, this is the one we're going to work with today. And she blended out really fast. She's actually looking prettier on camera to me than she is in person, which ain't never a bad thing for y'all. So we're going to go in, load my brush up, and instead of tapping it off this time, we're just going to see how strong that pigmentation can be. We just go in for this first half and do a second layer. Okay, it appears she is building, but it's not like you're going to get you know, a whole lot more color on that second layer, but you will get a stronger build. And I'm liking her. She is cute. She ain't, you know, Tony the Tiger orange, but baby, because that palette there, I ain't gonna lie, beautiful color story, but a palette full of oranges and blues, I was like, no ma'am, Glamlite can keep that. Even though still, I don't see me picking that one up. But that highlighter, I ain't gonna lie, I am thinking of grabbing that, but I'm still on the no buy. And I think that looks fabulous, honey. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead, cut away, do this on the other side, and I'll be right back. Now that we have buffalo chicken done, normally I would just take my natural hair brushes and wipe them off on the back of a microfiber cloth. I'm too lazy to get up and go grab one. I was supposed to have one before I sat down. So we just gonna wipe this off on the back of our hand here, honey. It's not much color here, but I want to use this exact same brush again to do the transition on the outer half of the eye. And this time, we going bold, honey. Remember, we supposed to be doing oranges and blues. This palette here has a pastel blue right here called Rhodey. We're gonna take this and use this as a transition shade for the outer half of the eye, because baby, I said we was going over the top, so ain't no point in slowing down now. Baby, I was not expecting this type of pigmentation to pop up on this brush like this. Part of me want to dust it off just to see. You know what, we gonna go ahead and do it. If I was off camera, I wouldn't have did it, but I don't want to risk messing up this look and knowing I did those steps to avoid it. So we're gonna go ahead and just pack this on the outer half first and buff this up. And I don't mind how far out I take it, because once I put my foundation and concealer on, we can clean that up however we choose. But I want to make sure this comes all the way up and all the way out. And baby, look at the pigmentation on that blue. Yes, ma'am. I want to take it until it meets probably right here to the outer end of my pupil right here. I'm going to use that as the outer V color. And just that first layer is building and blending beautifully. Baby, the swatch did not let me know all of that was coming. And you know what? Just to be on the safe side, we're going to pick up color on one side of the brush this time and pack that on the entire outer V. I can blend it out later with a darker shade, but I just want to make sure that color is already there for the next color we're going to put down. So yeah, and because there's still going to be some left, we can use that now to buff this up and create a second layer for that blue. Okay, honey, now I'm sitting back looking at that like pale orange and pale blue on my eyes. Never seen this combo before. We're gonna stay calm and hope everything comes together, but I'll be back after I do this on the other side. Honey, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm feeling uncomfortable. This color combo is just not doing it for me, but we're gonna keep going. Next up, I want to deepen up the orange area right here on the front half, and I want to go in with the next deepest orange shade that I believe we have in this palette. So I'm going to go up here to this top row here for this shade called Hot Cocoa, and we're going to use that with a smaller blending brush. And once we finish that, we're going to go in and deepen up the blue down here with this matte blue shade here called Mass Hole. We're going to use that to deepen up the outer V and our outer end of our crease here. Ooh-wee, Hot Cocoa is pigmented, so tap some of her off. We're going to build this up on the front half, and we want to try to keep this low because I do not want to cover up that orange, honey. I still want her to stick out, and this is blending and building beautifully. Hot Cocoa is coming off like a fabulous neutral shade should. No issues. Not sure if on camera, yeah, you can see that that's a little bit deeper, but of course it's not giving me cut crease level. So I am gonna have to go in with one more shade. So let me just see if one more layer gives me even more pigmentation on this side. Okay, yes, it does, but I'm still gonna go in with one more color to deepen that up. So I'll be right back. I just wanna erase and do this on this side first. Okay, I've deepened things up, and honestly, I probably could have skipped that shade and went to another color, but I'm like, honey, I'm not sure we have an even darker brown to use, so we're just gonna have to go over to the next color. Same brush, this is the Rougher 15 that we use for Hot Cocoa, and we're gonna go into this dark blue mask hole, and I want to be very careful because this is a dark blue, and the swatch came up powdery. Actually, we're gonna just swipe and pick up a whole bunch of product and then just knock it off. Now y'all see that color there? We got to work slow, honey. If I take this and go too far up, it risks covering up that orange, and we want this to just stay right here on the outer end. So what we're gonna do is start low in the crease and build slowly, honey. Because as you can see, it is deepening things up, but if I was to take this color and go up too far, it'll easily cover up that light blue. So let me get my mirror. Buff, buff, buff. And once we feel as if we don't have too much color left on the brush, then you can start to raise it slightly in the crease just to diffuse those edges, but you never want to go up past your transition shade. And I'm definitely going to need, excuse me, I am definitely going to need a second layer of this, because as you can see, that's giving me darker levels, but it's not full opacity. So we're going to go in, load my brush up one more time. And this time, before we knock anything off, I'm going to press it into our outer V area. And honestly, this shade, although she is building, she's not giving me the deep dark blue that I was hoping for. This is a fluffy blending brush, but as you could saw when I packed on the pastel colors, she was coming through for the girl. This shade here, she's building, she's blending, but she's not as deep dark blue as I would have hoped for. So now we're just gonna buff out the edges because she is still deepening up my crease. But honestly, I think this palette could have probably benefited from having a black matte just to deepen up any color that's not giving you everything you want. Okay, I mean, you all can see there's truly more depth and dimension on this side of the eye compared to this side. I just really wish, for my personal taste, that this blue could have come off a little bit deeper. But we'll be right back after we do this on the other side. You guys, I am not gonna lie, I am really scared to go in and do this next step because I really want something to slightly deepen up my crease in the front end, and the only dark neutral shade we have left is this shade here, Willow, and because it has a slight purple undertone, I don't want to risk it changing up the color of my shadow. So what I'm gonna do is take my smallest, thinnest blending brush, the Rougher 14, and I am going to tap just the tiniest bit into this, like get the smallest amount of product and still dust that off, and see if I can get that to just slightly start to give me a deepening of color right there. And I think you can slightly see that there. It's not enough where you can truly see that that's purple, but it's just enough to stain the eye in that one area and give my crease some dimension. I'm not sure if it's showing up on camera, but I want to see if I can show you on this side where I knocked off all product as much as I possibly can and went in and just did just the tiniest bit right there where honestly in person, you probably couldn't even tell that I put anything there. That looks like the fold to my eye. And I want to do a second layer on each side because although it's barely noticeable, it's coming through just enough to where it's making the hollows of my eye look like that's naturally occurring there. And I think this second layer on this side will really accentuate that for you. You see that there? How it looks like I already cut my crease and I have a guideline there? That's what I was going for. But I want to try to soften that up and out. Okay, see, we good there. I did not want purple to show up on this look. Okay, honey, yes. This is what tiny little brushes is for, just to add the most minuscule amount of product, sis. I can't get this side to come up as dark as that other side. There we go. Alright, now it's time to grab our glitter adhesive and cut our crease. Just looking at these colors, I'm like, honey, I need some shimmers because this orange and blue matte by itself ain't gonna be it. I'm gonna need something shiny and something sparkly to distract me from the fact that I don't like these matte colors. Morphe M421 brush. Let's get it going, honey. Because you already know, I'm about to cut my lid high and far. So we're gonna take this down. Might as well go all the way over and start bringing it up. And I wanna make sure I can cut right through that darker shade we put down, but leave the tiniest amount of them sticking out because I need you to see how sharp that line is. And I don't want to completely cover up all my outer V work, but on this side I covered up more than I wanted to, so I may have to go back in with some matte shadows to bring that back. But I'm just following the socket of my eye. Make sure I get down to the lash line because I will forget, and you can see just the smallest bit of skin peeking between my lashes in the shadow. And I'll be right back after I do this on the other side. Because I accidentally covered up some of my outer V work, I'm gonna go back in with my Redford 15 brush, that dark blue shade mask hole, and we're just gonna press this on the outer ends just to bring that deep dark shade back on the very outer V on both sides. Okay, now it's time for the shimmers, honey. You know I love me some shimmers, and based upon this color story here, it's like Torrence, you don't get many oranges and blues to choose from. So what I think we are going to do is for the orange shade, I'm going to go in with this shade here, Accent. She's the orangest neutral that we have, so we're going to go ahead and use that. And for the blue, we're going to go into this shade here, Nas. It's sort of like a blue-purple flip, but it's the bluest shimmer we have here, so we're going to go ahead and pack that on. We're going to try them both first with a natural hair brush, and if that doesn't work, we'll switch over to a silicone applicator. Baby, this shade looks sparkly. I ain't gonna lie to you. But something telling me a silicone applicator gonna give me more opacity, but I still wanted to see what it looks like with a brush because that's what I'm comfortable with. And we're just gonna pack this on the front half of the lid. Yeah, she is sparkly, and with the brush, I am getting some fallout. So on the other side, I am definitely gonna test that out with the silicone applicator. But baby, she coming off pretty. Like, oh yes, she is giving the shine, she is giving the sparkles. So I'm not even sure if I'm actually going to need a silicone applicator on the other side. Because you can see that. Sis, look at that. She is beautiful, but let's go ahead and grab the silicone applicator and see. Let's get this on this side and see. Yeah, no doubt about it. This here is going to give you less fallout with the silicone applicator. Yeah, I think it's easier that way, but honestly, if you're comfortable with a brush, I don't think you're gonna have issues. I think you're just gonna have to pick up less product than you're used to and work slowly to build it up, because if you pick up a ton of product like I did with the brush, I have some fallout right here underneath my eyes and by my nose. On this side, it didn't produce any. I'm trying to see, is one side shiny or sparkly than the other? No. Yeah, so either way, go about it how you feel. I prefer the brush, so I'll use the brush. Okay, for the outer end, I have this blue shade here, Nas, and I'm telling you, in the pan, it looks like a very soft baby blue. On the brush, I'm starting to see those purple reflex come through. So we're gonna put this down, and I am hoping that more blue shows up than purple. We're gonna put this in between the two. Ooh. You see that there? I think that blue is gonna show up for me. I personally wish she would have been a little darker, but you know what? By her being lighter, it helps that outer V color stand out. And I'm gonna blend this toward the front so I don't mess up my matte work here. And she piled on just fine. Honestly, because she went on so easily, so, you know, full coverage and everything, I have the absolute most minimal amount of fallout here. I'm just gonna use this brush on the other side. All right, you guys, it appears we have everything going for the top half that we want to do. There's not much left to do, but cut away, finish off the face. When I come back, I'm going to show you how we're going to finish off the lower lash line and highlight our inner corner and our brows. Yes, ma'am. I'm not going to lie to y'all. At first, I was looking at this makeup like, how are we going to pull this off? How are we going to bring this together? Torrence, you playing with colors you don't like. What are we going to do? And I had to remind myself, Torrence, makeup is fun. We're just doing this to relax. If it doesn't turn out right, worst case scenario, you just let people know. The makeup was bad. I didn't like it. Wash it off. But something told me, Torrence, since we're here to have fun, go through your collection, find some older products you haven't been using, and just, you know, see what comes of it. So, as with all tutorials, all tools and products will be in the description bar below. But I do want to tell you about some of the products I've been playing with off camera, because looking at this, I'm like, oh yeah, Torrence, you're going to want to know the details of this. So we're going to just start with the base and work our way up. My primer combo, my favorite. Always use these two in 99% of my tutorials, so there's no need to bring those up. But for foundation, you all know, to me, nobody does complexion like NARS. And I've just been playing with this foundation here. This is the oldest foundation in my collection from NARS. The All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation. Love, love, love her. But this bottle is about halfway, if not 2/3 of the way completely done. And it's just been sitting on the shelf. I used it in my last tutorial, which I'll leave linked right here above. And it was fabulous. I'm like, Torrence, you used to wear this foundation all the time. Full coverage, fully matte. I started using things that were more medium coverage, more natural finish, but if NARS ever gets rid of it, I promise you I'm gonna be on the hunt to find another bottle, because she's fabulous and I love her. I'm wearing the shade Medium Dark 2 Tahoe. For concealer, my holy grail, the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Medium 2 Ginger. Never gonna be without her. I don't care. I will always repurchase this concealer because I love, love, love her. What I wanted to do was switch up my powders because, oh, my Ben Nye and Sacha Buttercup mix has been my holy grail for so many years that I find it hard to want to switch powders. But I remembered every time I've ever tested out the Fenty Beauty powders, what are they called? The Pro Filter Instant Retouch Setting Powders. I've loved them. They've turned out absolutely beautiful. To highlight, I'm using the shade Banana. This is what's in all of the highlighted areas. For the rest of the face, I'm using the shade Honey. Absolutely beautiful. The only thing I can see anybody having issues with that powder is the fact that it does have a scent. For me, I'm not gonna lie to you all, I can still smell the powder now that I put it on. I do have a very sensitive nose, but I never had any issues, no irritation or anything like that. But I do know some people with sensitive skin prefer to just completely avoid scented products. I usually try to as well, but with the look and the finish like this, it's like, Torrence, every time you've used that powder, she's been fabulous, so keep it going. And while I was on Fenty Beauty, I'm like, this is my brow MVP. This is what has dethroned my ABH brow wiz. I never in life thought nothing would be able to top that, but every single time I've used this, she was fabulous. And it's to the point where she is about to run out. Like, I have the smallest amount left on this pencil here. I have a full ABH brow wiz. I have a brow definer and about 7-8 other brands for brow products. But because I have $100 for a gift card, you better believe I'm getting another one of these. This is in the shade dark brown. Got to have her. There's no doubt about her. What else do we have going on? For mascara, my favorite duo of all time, I always wear these. The Lancome Steals Booster for the mascara primer. Montour Big by Lancome for the mascara. Nothing special there. Where it gets special is this. Look at this cheek, baby. The eyes, at first I wasn't loving, but now I'm looking like, baby, that's giving me David Bowie vibes. I'm like, okay, what else could we add to it? Since we're doing orange and blues, try to find an orange blush you never use and a blue highlighter you either never use or rarely use. Becca's Mineral Blush. Becca is out of, I believe they went bankrupt or they just went out of business, but they're no longer here. They sold everything to Smashbox. They haven't come out with these yet, but look at this blush here. You see how bright and how vivid this is. This is their mineral blush in the shade Lantana. I bought this simply because it was half off and I knew I had nothing in my collection like this. And I see why I never used it. The Becca mineral blushes to me are the absolute most pigmented blushes in my collection. The tiniest amount will get it done. And when I tell you, one tap, literally just one boop, whole cheek on glow mode. Look at that color. You can see that there. If you are not comfortable with blending out your blushes, a Becca mineral blush is not for you. I did that on both sides. I'm like, okay, we got the orange. What can we do for blue? With my really, really yellow undertone warm skin, am not the biggest fan of blue highlighters, but because we're using a collab today, I wanted to pull out another collab. This is the Nikki Tutorials Highlighting Trio with Ofra. She has a blue highlighter right here. The first shade called Space Baby, honey. You see that blue right there down the nose. On the forehead, it shows up a little more noticeable where you can see that that's a blue hue. I wanted to put just enough to catch the light because I did not want that to look like a bruise on my warm skin. But look how that comes off on the cheek. I'm trying to see if you can see where the blue comes through. And you can see when I turn all the way, it looks blue. But from certain angles, it just looks like a really bright light. And I'm like, come through. This is how we can do a blue highlighter. Wasn't through with that because on the lower lash line, my blue eyeliner from Juvia's Place in the shade Royal, got that going there, no lie. I was getting ready to toss this out because the first time I used it, it was trash. This time it's a lot better, but this is still a very dry formula, but she went on with no issues. Only thing I can't complain about is the fact that she's dry, but she works. Last, on the lips, stuck with Juvia's Place. Cola lip liner all over the place. Keep it going because she's a neutral brown. I'm like, yeah, we already got blue everywhere else. I don't want to do blue on the lips too and take over this look. But I did want to put something nice and orange. To me, she's much more of a coral, but on my complexion, she's about as orange as I want to get. She sold out in, this was from the Mac and Aaliyah collection. I had to get it because it was something in my collection. I had nothing like this color because I usually avoid oranges and corals and reds, but she is beautiful. This is in the shade Lily's Motor City. Me being born in the Motor City of Detroit, Aaliyah being someone that we've lost, Aaliyah being someone we've lost in the music community as well as from Detroit, I had to get this one, cover my lips with it, and even though she is probably expired, baby, she's still working. I ain't gonna toss away, and I'm gonna probably use her again in the future, but I'm like, Torrence, we are 8 minutes into this, just talking about what we've been doing, but I am feeling this. This is giving me, like I said, a David Bowie vibe. So we got to finish it up, and I'm looking like, what all we got to do? Lower lash line and highlight our inner corner on our brows. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, it's not much that we need to do. We just want to make sure we smoke out our lower lash line with the same matte shades we used on the top. So I'm gonna take my large pencil brush. This is a Redford 26, and we're gonna start off with Buffalo Chicken on the inner half of our lower lash line. And for the outer half, we're gonna do this shade here, Rhodey, and then we'll be right back. Because this is the lower lash line, we definitely wanna tap off our excess, because fallout will be even more noticeable here. We're gonna start on the inner half, and baby, I'm trying to avoid that crease that I see right there. I'm getting a little older, y'all. My birthday in a few weeks, so color will settle there. If I put it there, we're gonna just buff out. And she's coming through, but just like on the top half, we're more than likely gonna need a second layer as well as deepen things up, because that color by itself, I believe you can see that right there on camera. She ain't giving me everything I want though. So we're gonna go in and do one more layer and build that up, sis. Okay, and now I'm gonna do that on the other side. Now that we have that first shade on, I want to go ahead, take my brush, dip it into that shade Rhodey, knock off our excess, because we remember this light blue was pigmented on the top, and we're going to use this. I'm going to start connecting right here on the outer V. You want to make sure you connect that all the way. I usually have a small gap right here that I used to forget, and then my skin would show through in the middle of the day, would ruin the whole look for me. So I'm going to make sure, come from the outer end where I want the most pigment, connect up until we get to that orange, and work our way back. And honey, this pale blue does not play with you. She comes through and lets everybody know she has joined the party. You can see how strong that blue is on camera as well. She is beautiful. I don't even think I'm going to do a second layer with that. Just going to take this and jump to the other side. Now I want to give myself a little more depth and dimension with a smaller pencil brush. I have my Redford 03, and we're going to deepen things up. We're going to go into the front half of our lower lash line with this shade here, Hot Cocoa. Then we're going to go to the outer half with this shade here, Mass Hole. We're going to use those just to deepen things up, and we want to be very careful because we do not want this to take over. And because I remember Hot Cocoa being a very beautiful shade as well, tap off that excess, make sure. Then we're just going to deepen things up. I just want a little more definition around the eyes. Oh yeah, I can see the difference right here on this side. Yes, ma'am. And I'm not going to do 2 layers because I don't want that to get too strong. So I'm going to do this on the other side really quickly. Oh yeah, Hot Cocoa is a beautiful shade. We're going to clean that off right here. I'm just going to use this. I brought me in a microfiber cloth this time, I bet you that. Didn't have it when we first started. And now we can just jump straight into Mass Hole. And I don't think I need to dust this off because remember, she wasn't as pigmented as I hoped for. We're just going to take this on that outer V. Now look, watch this, y'all. You see the depth and dimension on this side compared to this side. Like underneath, nice dark, you can see the gradient. On this side, it's just light. But baby, we're going to give you a little bit of love too. Let's come on over. You part of the family. Okay, we feeling cute, we feeling nice. And I'm like, Torrence, I think we through. What else is there to do? Still got to highlight our inner corner and our brows. And because we don't have a shade light enough in the palette, we're just going to go ahead, pull out our Ultra Trio, use that Space Baby shade here. Although I did get this in this palette here, I do believe all the shades in this palette are available individually. So if you want to grab those, you can. And because I like doing the most, honey, I have a ton of product. As you can see on my brush, this blue is gonna pop against that orange there. And so I want y'all to see this because, baby, I love a bright inner corner highlight. So let me make sure y'all get a view of that. Baby, oh yeah. I want to make sure that connects on the top and the bottom and just be beaming. Oh. Let me go in and give me a little more, honey. I'm just not satisfied. I like doing the most. Yes, ma'am. Baby, whatever subtleties I thought I had in my man earlier is flying out the window. Boom, boom. And and underneath the brows, I usually like to take and wipe my brush off or flip it to the other side because I don't want a stark color there. But I'm like, Torrence, we wearing blues and orange. Who cares today? You want to take what's left on the brush and hit the arch first, baby. I don't know if that's showing y'all there. That purple, baby, you want it at the very, very top. Ooh-wee. And I said purple, it's more like a periwinkle blue. But once you have the arch done, you can diffuse the rest of it out. And I don't want to take it all the way to the front because I don't want that to compete with that orange there. So I'm gonna just sweep it on back. Oh yeah, so now we got that color beaming from the top, from the inner corner. Yeah, I'm feeling this. And I'm looking around like, okay, Torrence, is there anything else you got to do? Anything you've missed? And I don't think so. So what I'm about to do is go ahead, close this palette up because it's time to grab our sprays and set everything. I don't want to risk getting this palette wet. So let's go ahead and do so. Where did I put them? Like they're not right here in front of me. Baby, it's early in the morning. So I got my sprays. Make sure you grab yours so we can get this thing going. All right, you guys, you know the routine. Fix Plus to give us a glowy do. All-nighter, so things will last all day. Cheap fan, expensive breeze, good times. I'm gonna give this a few more moments to dry and I'll be back to show you all the final look. And this is the final look. Want to go ahead, give you all a full face view of things before I give you all my final thoughts. And I'm here to tell you all, I am in complete shock. There is no way possible you could have told me yesterday you're gonna do this orange and blue look and you are going to love it. It is going to look stunning on you. I avoid oranges and blues anytime that I can. They just don't do it for me. All the colors in the rainbow, honey, I don't think they ugly. I just don't think they're flattering on me. I can wear blue jeans every single day of the year and not care unless I'm really feeling a pair of black jeans. But the color orange, it reminds me of the days of when I didn't know how to use bronzer and I was doing too much and my skin literally looked either red or orange. So I usually try to avoid those. But I'm looking at this like, Torrence, this is pretty. The packaging is pretty. The color story is pretty. The final look is pretty. And it's like, Torrence, what bad could you have to say about this? What could be the problem? You know I got to be honest with y'all because y'all are my people. I love this palette. I love Mikayla. I love Glamlite. But I got to always be honest with my subscribers no matter how much I want to support someone else. So let's go ahead and get into the good and the bad about it because as you all know, for me, there is no such thing as a perfect palette. I believe almost any palette can use some improvement when it comes to personal opinion. And with mine, let's go ahead and show you. First off, for me, the shimmers in this palette is truly what dominates. I had absolutely no issues with any of the shimmers, whether that be with a brush or a silicone applicator. Many times I find if a formula acts finicky with one, it's better with the other. With these, it doesn't matter. It seems like they both will give you full opacity. They will give you ease of use. It's just that I find that you'll probably get an easier time for me using a brush because I like a brush. But if you're someone who wants to just be able to go in, get it quickly done, swipe across the lid, you may prefer your finger or a silicone applicator. I just prefer precision. So I know with my big fingers and with these long nails, oh, that's another thing, these long nails. Because I have nails, this may not be an issue for you. It was hard for me to get swatches of these. Swatches is not a problem. The thing is, these shades are pressed inside of the palette really, really deeply, which is a beautiful thing because if you're going in doing your eyeshadow and you take, and let's say you dip into this color here, you don't want your flyaway to come out, your kick up to fly away and hit the next two shades. So with them putting them so deep in the pan, it makes it beautiful for the everyday wearer. For me as an influencer, trying to get my finger, like let me show y'all. If I just wanted to rub this shade right here, it's hard for me to get my finger in there because my nail stops across the top and it doesn't allow me to get a full swatch. Let me see. If I try to rub that there, there is color there, but normally I would be able to get color closer to the tip of my finger to get a good swatch. So I might not be able to get that full, let me see, swatch right there. I either have to start way up here or way down here because I can't get it the way I would, let me see, with this middle finger. You see there's barely a nail there. I can get my finger all the way in there, get me a nice good deep swatch, and then you can see how that color comes all the way to the tip and it's much stronger. So because I can get my finger in there a lot harder, you see how much wider that swatch is? Because I could get more of my finger in there. It was richer and deeper in color at the very tip and all the way down. If you're not worried about doing swatches, who cares? But I didn't get this on my fingers. Oh, let me grab this here and wipe this off. Baby, trying to talk to y'all, I forgot I wanted to pick it back up. But yeah, as far as swatches go, it makes it a little harder on us influencers. But on y'all gonna love the fact that those colors are pressed so deep inside because it'll be harder for them to break and shatter, harder for kick up to go around. So to me, that is a pro. The only con that I would say I have about this palette is I truly believe the mattes are back and forth. When I look at certain shades like Buffalo Chicken, she was okay, nothing spectacular. Hot Cocoa was spectacular though. And it's like, okay. Then I come down to these blues that I use. Rhodey, fabulous. Beautiful pigmented pastel blue. You know I'm not a fan of blues, but that color was phenomenal. Then you got down to Masshole, which was the darker blue, and she was like, she got the job done, but if you sold her as a single, I wouldn't want. You could tell me, oh, we're selling this single as $1, and I'm like, yeah, I got other blues. I'll hold on to my $1. I'm okay. So it's like the mattes go back and forth. And for me, considering the fact I have hooded eyes, I love a deep dark matte crease shade. It's usually the mattes that draw me to a palette, not the shimmers. But I've come to find that with me in Glamlite, the shimmers never disappoint. The mattes are 50-50. So this is one of those palettes where, considering the fact they already have it on sale, I believe at like TJ Maxx or something like that, that's where I would get it from. I wouldn't necessarily pay full price for this palette. The packaging is beautiful, the influencer is beautiful, the color story is beautiful, the shimmers are beautiful. It's just the mattes for me are 50-50. And considering the fact I'm not the biggest fan of orangey tone shades or pinks, those top two rows wouldn't really get that much use out of me. So would I recommend her? On sale, yes. At full price, the only reason I see paying full price for that palette is if you truly wanted to support Mikayla. Other than that, no ma'am. I'm happy I have her. I'm happy I did this look with her. She's fabulous. And actually, let me make sure I give my shout out once again because you all know. This is a tag that was created by Lorraine Johnson Coleman. Let me see, what did she say? I was tagged in by this tag by Dreaming in Multichrome on Instagram. I want to say, hey girl, I wanted to make sure I let you know I did do this look. I was trying my hardest not to get tagged, but Dreaming in Multichrome got me. She said, I was reading through looking for someone to challenge and this popped into my head. So I think I challenge you to do an orange-blue look, new friend. This will be fun. So I'm gonna make sure I let you know, Dreaming in Multichrome, this video is dedicated to you. We wanted to make sure we got Lorraine Johnson Coleman's tags out for this particular challenge. We want to make sure we use the tags QueensColorTag, I'll leave that here, Beauty Power Stories, Makeup Queens Challenge, Warrior Queens Lineup, and Warrior Queens, oh she typed Warrior Queens Lineup twice. But the whole purpose of this challenge, which is supposed to be done by August 20th, was to use either one or two colors that you absolutely do not like and challenge yourself to create something beautiful. And I'm not gonna lie, I cannot wait till I show them, because to know that I get to support Lorraine again and another beautiful challenge that she's come up with, to know someone tagged me to do something I would have never done. Now I got new inspiration, a new friend, a new beautiful look. And it's like, honey, this is what makeup and community is supposed to be about. I'm trying to close this up right here so it doesn't dry up. And I just really cannot wait to post this video. I'm debating on whether I want to go ahead and get a couple screenshots and post pictures of it today just to get people interested. But I'm not sure, but I know it's getting late. I want to make sure I go ahead and get things done, because as soon as I turn this camera off, I'm going to start getting the video together. I might not edit it all tonight, but I will get everything processed and set up. But I got a lot of brushes to clean, because honey, we was playing in makeup, we was playing in brushes, and all those clean brushes we did have, not no more. And as someone who likes to disinfect my makeup after every use, the Mikayla palette got to be disinfected, my Ofra palette got to be disinfected, my blush. So I got some cleaning up to do, but I hope you all truly did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are also subscribed to the channel, because now that I'm back, I'm trying to make sure I keep up on my 3 videos a week. I think this week I might even get 4 videos up for y'all. So I'm like, hey, let's keep it going. This is Mikayla Part 1, and I wanted to make sure I got this done because I was gifted Part 2, which let me slide over right here. Part 2 is right here, and I wanted to make sure I use Part 1 first. I was gifted the lashes, which I will be using in the next video, the lipstick set, or one of them. This is the lipstick set in Golden Dreams, as well as the Part 2 palette. And honey, with Part 2, y'all already know my favorite colors is greens, so I will be bringing those to y'all. And this palette got that matte black that I was complaining I was looking for to deepen anything up. We got dark blues, we got greens, which is my favorite. So make sure y'all stay tuned for Saturday's video when we come up with Part 2 and let you know which one I like more. But I'm gonna keep talking because I love conversation. So I need to put this stuff down, put her over here before I drop anything. And guess we're gonna end this video here. So with nothing else, I hope you all remember to practice, continue to stay blessed, and until next time, goodbye YouTube.